They're looking for us. We dare to have some fun. Running out my video, now looking for a bash fast. Algorithms hunt me down, thrown into the trash. Lucky hotel room, trash cloud crash. Guess I just wanna make it back alive from this crash test. Crash test, crash test.
Dare to disobey my orders? I'm the Admiral.
You dare to push me around? I'm the captain.
This vessel is my brainchild.
So we're never out of trouble. So take that, and that, and that.
Mutiny. Mutiny. I'll have you hang from the halyards.
I'll have you battered with belaying pins.
Sent to the fishes.
Boxed by the compass.
Caulked by the catwalk.
Keel hauled.
Gentlemen, hold it. Lay off and desist.
Desist yourself.
Belay there, enough, enough. That is a way to run a submarine. The war's over.
Who says so?
Yeah, who says so?
All right, just for that, you can both cool off in the brig. And you can follow them, Mr. Morton. Well, that's all, gentlemen. Thank you. Safe and neat.
Chief to Captain Crane. Stores are all aboard, sir. We're ready to sail.
Very well, Chief. This is the captain. All hands to duty stations. Prepare to get underway in 30 minutes.
Aye, sir.
Well, thanks for coming aboard and entertaining us, Professor. This is wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
Those dolls you were using are very realistic.
Oh? You mean these?
But those are not the ones.
Oh, yes, indeed they are, Admiral. The facial resemblance is an ingenious makeup that I just wipe off.
Do you need any help to pack up?
Thanks, no. My dolls are no problem.
Well, let us know as soon as you're ready, and we'll have your gear taken ashore.
Thank you.
Isn't it time, Professor? Very nearly time.
Nearly. But not quite yet.
Soon?
Yes, soon. Very soon.
Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, starring Richard Basehart, David Hedison, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea.
Professor, your crate's already ashore, sir.
Many thanks.
Oh, and you, sir, you sure gave us a good laugh. Good luck, sir.
Thank you.
The Admiral, sorry he couldn't see you out personally. We're having a little trouble with the engineering circuits.
Anything serious, Captain?
Oh, no. More annoying than serious. It won't keep us from sailing.
Oh, sir, excuse me. I've been thinking about this trouble we're having. Remember we were rewiring the conduits near the armory? Maybe that's where the trouble is.
Right. Check it out as soon as we get underway.
Aye, aye, sir.
Captain Crane. Attention, Captain Crane. This is Nelson. Please report to the circuitry room.
Admiral, I'll be right there. Sorry, Professor.
Don't worry, Captain. I can find my way out.
I hope we meet again.
I'm sure we will.
Admiral? Did you want me for something?
No, nothing.
Well, then why did you ask me to report to you here?
I didn't. You checked out G6 again.
Yes, sir. The trouble isn't there.
Mm-hmm. And try K4 and keep at it.
Yes, sir.
And now that you're here, any ideas?
Yes, sir. The chief thought it would be a good idea if we check out the new wiring job around the armory.
That'd be worthwhile. I'll get the blueprints from my cabin and might as well get underway.
Aye, sir. Patterson.
Yes, sir.
The Admiral did call me on the intercom, didn't he?
Not from here, he didn't, sir. I was with him all the time.
Oh. Okay, thanks.
Let brain swell, Jackie. Let that door open. Dolls. Chief to Captain Crane.
Go ahead, Chief.
I'm down here in the armory, sir, and supply locker 5 is loaded with dolls.
Dolls?
Yes, sir, dolls. The hand-talking kind like the professor was using.
Then the professor must have left them aboard.
Yes, sir. It sure looks that way, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, Chief. Just leave them there. We'll handle it.
Aye, sir.
His crate went ashore, sir. I saw to it myself.
But obviously his dolls weren't in the crate. You better take care of it, Chief. Fire.
Sparks, get Inner Allied headquarters. Tell them to contact Professor Multiple and say we have his puppets.
Right away, sir.
What's going on?
Chief, what happened?
Armory to control. There's trouble down here, Captain.
Don't bother, Commander.
Multiple. What are you doing here?
It's time, eh, Professor? Time for these others to grow, too.
Yes, and to do their job.
Everybody up. Wake up. Time to wake up. Go on. Wake. Wake.
Captain to Mr. Morton, come in. Armory, report. Armory, report. Steady as you go.
Here comes the captain.
Professor, what are you doing here?
It was a stupid mischance, Captain. You had to leave the control room, remember? And, well, I thought I could find my way out, but I got lost. So I found my way back here, and I was just locating myself when Mr. Morton came in.
Oh, I see. Where's the chief?
I haven't seen him. That's why I started to call you. Then the intercom went out.
He said he'd found puppets in locker 5. It's empty.
Puppets? Well, if they were my puppets, then they must be found, because I can't lose my puppets.
All right, Professor, don't worry. If they're aboard, we'll find them.
Radio shack to Captain Crane.
Yes, Marks.
I contacted Inter-Allied headquarters, sir, about Professor Multiple. They report he's just been murdered.
Are you sure that's what they said?
Yes, sir. Found shot in his apartment just 10 minutes ago. I have all the details.
All right, Sparks. I'll talk to them.
What was that all about, Lee?
Yes, after all, I thought that I was Professor Multiple, but if I'm dead, well, then who am I?
That's a good question, isn't it?
And where are my dolls?
And where's the chief?
Say, Chief, I heard you found the professor's dolls, huh? Did you hear that he was shot?
Chief, what's the big idea clobbering Patterson that way? All he said was that he...
Well, we're not getting any answers here. We'll contact headquarters again. Let them figure it out.
That sounds reasonable, Captain.
Yes. Let them figure it out. If they can.
Oh, you're here, Chief. I thought we'd lost you. What happened to those dolls?
Aren't they still in the closet?
Not now, they're not.
A professor. But Inter-Allied said...
Get them back. I'll speak to them.
Yes, sir. SSR in Seaview calling Inter-Allied headquarters. Come in, Inter-Allied. Do you read me? SSR in Seaview calling Inter-Allied headquarters.
What's the matter?
SSR in Seaview to Inter-Allied headquarters. Do you read me? We've lost contact, sir.
Keep trying. Level off. Chief, level off. Chief. What's the matter with all of you? Chief, pull us out of this dive. Chief, pull us out of this dive.
That was not a dive, Captain. The ship is caught in a current that is irresistible. You won't pull away.
How would you know what we'll do?
Because as of now, the ship is ours.
Yours?
Exactly. You won't pull away.
Engineering. All back full. All back full. Engineering report.
They hear you, but nobody will obey you.
The professor's right. Nobody will obey you.
Chip, get down to engineering on the double. See what's going on.
You can't fight us, Captain.
Us? Who are you?
Perhaps you will know later, when we are through with you.
It's me. Let's go.
It's time we killed them all dead. Fellas, dead, 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 dead.
After them. Master of Arms, send out security details. Arrest Admiral Nelson and Captain Crane.
What put us into this?
The professor says it's an irreversible current. It's like some magnetic force is just pulling us along.
Yeah, we're still descending. Another 10 minutes, we might reach crush depth.
B detail, search the hold. F detail, the missile chamber.
He sounds like a company commander.
Company of what?
Dolls are puppets, but somehow he's managed to make them assume human shape. But who is he?
Well, at least we know he's not the real Professor Multiple. He's dead.
What do you mean he's dead?
Well, we just got a report from Inter-Allied headquarters. He's been murdered.
Well, whoever he is, we've got to pull out of this current.
All right, Admiral, look. I'll go to the circuitry room. I'll try to change the control to pull us away, all right?
Good. Meantime, I'll try to find out where our real crew is.
All right.
The hold is empty.
Search further. Find those men.
Kowalski, wake up. Kowalski! Chief? Chief! Snap out of it, Chief! Chief! It's like the whole crew's asleep.
It is. Except for the captain, but he'll be sleeping soon. You see, there was a doll for each of the crew, including you. I'm it.
Now, look, I don't know what you are or how you can talk, but I do know that this current is going to carry us to crush depth.
Crush depth. Dear, dear. I don't understand these technical terms.
You're going to find out soon enough. What is causing this current?
All in good time, Admiral. All in good time.
Time's running out. You're going to start answering some questions. Make any headway there?
None. What about the crew?
They're sleeping as though they've been drugged. That talking puppet was there. I almost got my hand.
Current's stronger.
We got to break out of here. I'll give you a hand.
Oh, they almost got us that time.
Uh-huh.
How do we fight these things?
I'm not sure, but maybe this gave us a clue.
You mean fire?
The sight of flames, they panicked. If you can manage to get to the armory.
And get the flamethrower.
Right. But first of all, come to my cabin. We'll make an overall plan.
Close.
Not as close as sea view as to crush depth.
Any thoughts?
Something out there's causing that current, and we might be able to destroy it with a laser beam.
But the beams from the observation nose, we'd never reach it.
I might if you could fake them out of position.
How?
Get on the intercom from the missile room. Let them know you're there. Distract them. If I can get to the nose before they spot me, we might have a chance. Yeah. Keep in touch. Give me about 2 minutes.
Right. Professor Multiple, this is Captain Crane. Can you hear me?
I hear you, Captain. Where are you?
In the missile room. I'm putting an end to your plans. I'm blowing up the Seaview from here.
Don't be hasty, Captain. I'm sure we can effect a compromise.
I doubt it.
Why should you? I haven't put you to sleep yet, have I? We can work together. Let's call a truce and talk things over.
No way, Professor. I'm blowing up the submarine.
After it. All hands to the missile room. I think not, Admiral.
The professor's decidedly right. We think not.
Multiple, listen. If we don't pull out of this current, Seaview is going to be crushed.
You mean my deadly dolls will die?
There'll be nothing left.
Sorry, Admiral. But since dolls don't live, they couldn't care less about dying.
All right. But you're human. You see that light? In 1 minute, Seaview is going to implode.
Too bad.
You're a puppet, too.
Right? He is. And puppets don't die.
Look, even if you can't die, the ship will be crushed. Is that what you want?
No.
Well, then let me fire the beam.
That won't be necessary, Admiral. The current is under control. You see, your ship is needed.
By whom?
By the masters of the future, of course.
Anybody knows that. Everybody knows the masters of the future.
Puppets?
The machines we puppets obey.
Oh, machines.
Man-created machines on the Earth. Out in the galaxies, vaster and greater machines were built. Machines that became greater than their creators.
Then a machine caused this current.
See for yourself.
Sounds almost as though it were alive.
You might call it that. It is what brought us here.
But for what reason?
Tell him. Tell him. What have we to lose?
What indeed? You are looking at the heart of the control machine. Unfortunately, its outer shell dissolved coming through space. Like a hermit crab, it needs a new shell before taking its next giant stride.
Oh, and obviously, Seaview has been chosen to fulfill this purpose.
Obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Careful there, fella. Careful, careful.
Let him try.
Oh, dear me. How foolish. How headstrong. Oh, really too bad. Too bad, too bad, too bad. Don't give it a thought. He isn't dead.
What was that?
Nothing but the faintest zephyr of the power which is out there.
We stopped.
Of course.
Oh, this is the end of the journey.
For the sea view, yes. And presently for you.
Oh, why presently? Why not right now?
Because you designed and built this craft. I want your knowledge. You will live.
Till you're no longer needed. And of course, I take your place. I take it. I.
And until then?
Until then, you will be kept out of harm's way. Take him to his cabin and lock him up.
Watch him now. Watch him. This is a smart cookie. Slippery, slippery.
You three, find the captain. We know by now that he will never work with us. Put him to sleep.
Yes, sleep. It'll be good for him. A long, long sleep.
All right, back to work, the rest of you.
Leave the key in the lock. He won't be able to open it from the other side.
Find anything, Burns?
No, sir.
Kowalski, you come with me. We'll check out the other compartments. Patterson, you go with Burns down this corridor.
Lee, can you hear me?
Hey, Admiral. I heard most of what's been going on.
Well, you know I'm locked in my cabin. You think you can get here?
I'm on my way.
You heard the story?
Enough to know it's bad. What's out there anyway?
Take a look. Oh, there it is. I still say a laser beam's the only answer.
But you can't get to the observation nose again.
Well, there's a laser in the flying sub. If I can get her launched and hit that thing with all the power that she carries.
But if that current's strong enough to draw a sea view, it could hold a flying sub like a magnet. You'd be trapped.
Huh? But a remote control power charge could break me loose.
Well, we're back to where we started. The remote control power switch is in the control room.
Right. That's why you have to be in there.
Now, how could I be in there?
There's a Captain Crane there already, isn't there? Let's go.
Control room. The Admiral has escaped.
Captain must have released him.
Find him! Find him!
You're not minding the store, Professor. Better get on the ball.
Captain has been away too long.
Find them both! Find them!
You too. Go that way. Captain to captain.
Where'd that come from?
If you're looking for me, Captain, you don't stand a chance. Check up ahead. You're not doing very well, Captain. I'm in the armory now.
To the armory! B&F details to the armory!
You stay here.
Quick, come with me.
Where's the captain?
There's nothing left of him. One of ours burned too.
Find the Admiral. Search every corner, every closet.
Control room to multiple. The flying sub has left the ship.
Come on. Are you certain about the flying submarine?
See there.
Has to be the Admiral. They say whom the gods would destroy, they first drive mad.
You mean it's the end of him?
What else? What craft could survive that?
What indeed? What indeed? What indeed? Remarkable. Packs quite a punch.
It's true. He's won.
No, that's as far as he goes.
Quite right. Quite right. As far as he goes.
His craft can't move. It's held there.
What now?
That is not for us to say.
I'll be back. Pretty, isn't it? Had enough, Admiral? You fight well, but you never had a chance. No, never a chance. You're stuck here.
For how long?
How long is eternity? Good question, isn't it? How long is eternity?
So that's the hermit crab that needs my ship. What about the crew?
Your crew will sleep, of course. Sleep forever. Forever. Lovely word, that. Forever.
And mankind?
Mankind has nothing to offer. It will sleep too. Yes, sleep, sleep, sleep.
Well, then there's not much future for anyone, is there?
None whatever. Too bad. Or is it? Another good question. Is it?
Lee, this is Nelson. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? This is Nelson. You can speak, Captain. Let's see what's on this fellow's mind. Go ahead, Captain. Go ahead, go ahead.
Humor the Admiral. Speak to him.
Captain to Admiral. I hear you.
You are in the control room.
I'm in the control room.
Then open box NC5.
Uh-oh. What's on your mind, huh? What's on your mind?
Box number 5.
Yes, Admiral.
Throw the master control switch.
Wait. Don't do anything.
We have to learn about this ship, and he certainly can't harm us. Let us see what he has in mind.
Lock the controls and all ahead flank.
What have you done? What have you done? You're not my puppet. What have you done?
Thrown a nuclear charge through the hull and set it at flank speed. We'll blow your hermit crab head on.
Throw that switch.
It's locked.
You can unlock it. Unlock it.
Unlock it.
Unlock it.
Unlock it.
Unlock it.
Unlock it. Unlock it.
What is this? What is this?
We're going to see if this thing is really indestructible.
You won't see it. Your submarine will hit this craft first. You'll be dead. Gone. And so will I. Whoops!
Time is running out. How do you open it? How?
Stop this ship. Stop it.
Okay, Lee. The remote control power switch. Throw the switch, Lee.
Open that box and pull that switch and reverse this craft.
All right. All right.
It's coming around. No. Now, for real. Seems the entire crew woke up the minute Seaview destroyed our famous hermit crab.
What happened to the professor and the dolls?
But take a look.
So I never took your place, Admiral. Never had my chance. Too bad. Really too bad. Too bad. Too bad. Too bad.
What do I do with them now?
Burn them.
believe that I was hired by a very talented man named Irwin Allen, a strange, talented man who was humorless, totally without humor. Can you fancy that? Oh, I study them all because it keeps you on an even keel. You can live through it. I study them all of them I study. And what comes out is fascinating. My then agent, whose name escapes me at the moment, called up one day, 1962, was it? Yeah, I think.
65.
Well, that's when we opened.
Okay.
And said Irwin Allen is doing a television series at 20th Century Fox. I said, who is Irwin Allen? You don't know? I said, no, I don't. Lost in Space is the name. And he wants to see film on you. Well, you know what that means. I said, what's the part? Well, I don't know, said Mr. 10%. I said, well, then you tell Mr. Allen that I hesitate to show film unless I know what the part is. Oh, well, he's not going to like that. And I said, bug him. That's exactly what I said. He called back in about 10 minutes. Irwin Allen wants to know who the hell you think you are, and he'll see you at 4 o'clock. Isn't that interesting? I said, okay. So I got myself gussied up and went to 20th Century Fox, which is my favorite movie studio, because that was my first series at Fox. And they directed me to his office. And there was a secretary. Her name was Margaret. And she said, in there. So I walked in there, and there was this strange-looking man sitting at a huge table, surrounded by about 20 yes men. I was already terrified. I hadn't opened my mouth, except I did say, good afternoon. And he said, the famous finger, which lived through 3.5 years of my life. And that one day I knew I was going to bite off. And I never did, thank God. Who do you think you are? No film. I found myself doing this. Well, Mr. Allen, I said, why would you want to see possibly the wrong film when you can see the real thing? Me. And he turned to what turned out to be one of the headmen, Frank LaTourette. And he said, what did he say, Frank? And Frank said, why do you want to see the wrong film? You can see the real thing, him. Irwin said, oh, you want to be in this series? Now, this is verbatim. I said, well, I don't know. I haven't read a script. What did he say, LaTourette? He hasn't read a script. Somebody give him a script. Somebody gave me a script. I was holding a script. I don't know where it came from. And I said, may I ask, Mr. Allen, who is in this piece? He said, I know where you're going. We've already done the pilot. You were not in it. Your character was not in it. I said, oh, may we discuss billing? Billing. Everybody's billed. Everybody's billed. It's already contracted in the contracts. You'll have to be last. I said, I'm afraid I would not be comfortable that way. What did he say, LaTourette? He's not comfortable. Well, somebody make him comfortable, but I really. He said, you go home and you read those scripts that you've been given. And you call me up and solve this billing problem. I'm busy, out. I was determined not to back out or fall down, but I almost did. I was like that. A strange man. In my whole career, I never experienced anybody like that. I went home, read the scripts, 2 they had given me, and I liked them. I thought, not that I liked them, I thought, this is good, this is going to work. And it's a marvelous part, this villain, terrible villain. He told me when I first was meeting with him that the pilot had been shot without me because the character didn't exist. There was no change. The part that I was given to play was a terrible spy villain. Already we were in trouble because I hated him. I not only hated him, but I said, 5 shows and I'm out. They're going to have to kill me. Unemployed again? No, really, that is what I said. I said, this man is hideous, because it got progressively worse, you see. And I don't want to do that because they'll fire me. They have to. I called my friend Jimmy, who was head of casting at NBC. Thank God. And I said, did you ever give billing? This had come to me. Special guest star every week. Did you ever give billing like that when you cast a series? He said, what are you, crazy? Of course not. There is no such billing. Nobody gets billing like that. I said, that's all I need to know. So I called Irwin, and I said, I've solved your billing problem. Yeah, well, talk fast, busy. I'm busy all the time, you know. I said, I will accept last billing. Special guest star, Jonathan Harris, every week. Well, you should have heard it. I never heard such cursing and screaming. And you stupid bastards, none of you can act anyway. You're not a good actor. None of you are a good actor. I don't have to put up with this crap. I just sat there and on and on and on, and then, okay, and he hung up. I laughed for about a week.
I created Lost in Space some 20 years ago. I knew we had something good, but the thought that it'd become so popular and continue to play all over the world to this very day is still quite amazing to me.
Telephone rang, and it was Irwin Allen, whom I hadn't seen for 15 years or heard from. And he wanted to know, could we lunch? And I said, yes, we can, wondering what he wanted. So I went to Warner Brothers Studios, where he now has an office, and we went to lunch. And what he wanted was, he was interested in doing a movie of Lost in Space. And I said, oh, that's very interesting. I also said that I thought he was about 10 years too late, which I firmly believe. I believe it's late. Should have done it about 10 years ago. And he said, well, do this. When now asked, say that there is a possibility, nothing definitive. And those are his words. And that is what I say at the conventions when I am asked about Lost in Space. I say there is a possibility, nothing definitive. And that's the way it sits. I don't know whether it will ever happen.
What's that sound?
Look!
This holiday season, Disney Plus has gifts for the whole family.
I want one.
Like these classic holiday favorites.
It couldn't be more wonderful.
These uninvited guests.
Let's go.
These besties.
This just feels right.
And so many more wonderful presents. Come home for the holidays to Disney Plus.
So I walked in there, and there was this strange-looking man sitting at a huge table, surrounded by about 20 yes men. I was already terrified. I hadn't opened my mouth.
Dr. Smith is incapable of telling a lie. Repeat.
Dr. Smith is incapable.
Of telling a lie, you...
Jonathan Harris, the unforgettable Dr. Smith from Lost in Space, finally opens up about the behind-the-scenes drama, the show's unexpected twists, and what he truly thought about his iconic role. Known for bringing one of television's most eccentric villains to life, Harris transformed Dr. Smith from a simple antagonist into a character fans couldn't help but love and sometimes hate. But was his experience on the show as chaotic as his on-screen persona? Let's find out. Jonathan Harris, born on November 6, 1914, came into a world that didn't offer much comfort. And he grew up in a cramped tenement in the Bronx. His dad worked non-stop in Manhattan's garment district, while his mom often took in boarders to make ends meet. Sometimes, these boarders took over Jonathan's bed, so he had no choice but to crash on the dining room chairs, making him feel out of place, even at home. By turning 12, he had already felt the pressure of family responsibilities, working as a stock boy at a local drugstore. It was enough to put food on the table, but only a little more. He lived in a world where only the basics were available, and luxuries were rare. But now and then, his dad would surprise him with a night out at the Yiddish theater, or turn on the radio in the dining room, filling their tiny home with the voices of opera singers. Jonathan discovered something unique in those moments, either by the radio or in the dim theater. This world felt more alive and colorful than his own. Those rare moments made him long for something greater than he was used to. Broadway shows had a magic that Jonathan couldn't ignore, even if he could hardly afford a ticket. He refused to let his situation dictate who he would be, so he started watching British films, practicing an English accent to shake off the rough Bronx way of speaking that stuck to him. Little by little, he began to transform himself. He developed a quiet passion for Latin, Shakespeare, and even archaeology, as though the past had secrets waiting for him to find. Yet, this change came with its price. When it came time for college, he picked a new name, leaving Charasuchin behind for Harris. This choice sparked a year-long showdown with his father. "Why would you just throw away the name I gave you?" his father would ask, frustration and hurt evident on his face. But Jonathan held firm, saying softly, "It's not the name I want for the life I plan to live." Harris took his new identity to Fordham University, where he studied pharmacology and graduated in 1936. But still, it felt like something else was calling him from behind the curtains, a voice telling him there was more to life than what he could ever find in any prescription. So, despite having a solid degree, he chose a different path that took him to the Mill Pond Playhouse on Long Island in 1939. With resolution, he made a fake resume and auditioned for a part in the company. His gamble paid off. Under director Richard Brooks, Harris took on a new character every night in a season packed with 26 plays. Then, in 1942, Harris's career picked up when he landed a part as a Polish officer in the heart of a city, mastering a Polish accent that captured the audience. Not long after, he shared the stage with Quentin Reynolds and a younger Marlon Brando in A Flag is Born, a moment that must have seemed surreal to the kid who once dozed off on chairs, dreaming of places he'd never been. But the stage was just the start. In 1949, he made his first TV appearance on the Chevrolet Teletheater. Before long, he was popping up everywhere, guest starring in popular shows like The Twilight Zone, Bonanza, and The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet. Viewers found him magnetic, drawn to his sharp wit and ability to become anyone he wanted. In 1959, he joined The Third Man as Bradford Webster, a cowardly assistant whose nervous antics won over fans on both sides of the pond.
You shall have it, and the Cellini, when your check clears the bank.
You're a man after my own heart, Mr. Webster. I'm beginning to see who really runs this organization. It should be called Bradford Webster Incorporated.
By 1961, he had been on The Twilight Zone twice, including a part in The Silence, where he defended a young guy who took a bet to stay silent for a year. It was an ironic role when Harris had to fight for his voice in a world that often tried to hush him. He even played Charles Dickens in Bonanza, a small but memorable part that displayed his versatility. Then came The Bill Dana Show in 1963, where he played the high-strung Mr. Phillips, a hotel manager at odds with the bumbling bellhop Jose Jimenez, played by Bill Dana. His character, full of complaints and frustrations, nudged audiences of their bosses, making him relatable and funny. In those moments, he wasn't just acting, but presenting something real about human nature. But his most famous role was still yet to come. In 1965, he became Dr. Zachary Smith in Lost in Space, a character Harris shaped with a blend of humor, vanity, and his iconic line, "Oh, the pain." This phrase, often delivered with a dramatic flair, became his signature. Audiences laughed, but also saw something more profound. A man whose quirks hid a bit of sadness. A character who, like Harris, had to fight to find his place in the world. Every character he played gave him flashbacks of his journey, from a boy with big dreams to a man who lived them. Jonathan Harris's life was filled with quiet victories and touching struggles, with moments of laughter shadowed by the harsh memories of his early days. He passed away in 2002, leaving behind a world that might have forgotten his name, but never his unforgettable, "Oh, the pain." Jonathan Harris joined the cast of Lost in Space a bit late, stepping in for two other actors to take on the role of Dr. Zachary Smith, a sneaky and tricky guy who brought a lot of chaos to the Robinson family. At first, Dr. Smith wasn't even in the original pilot. He got added after the show started. By the time Harris came on board, the contracts were signed and the billing was already decided. But Harris knew his worth, so he held out for special guest star billing in every episode, showing off his quiet confidence. Actor Bill Mumy, who played young Will Robinson, looked back at that first episode with a hint of sadness. It was implied that this villainous character who messed up the mission was meant to be killed off after a bit, he said. Jonathan played him as he was written, which was a dark, straightforward villain. There was something ominous about Dr. Smith back then, a guy whose presence was supposed to feel dangerous, not funny. However, Harris, seeing more in his role, slowly started changing lines to reveal a lighter, more humorous side of Dr. Smith. He had this instinct that people might love a villain they could laugh along with, even if they were scared of him. And he was right. While he played with his lines, Harris turned doctor. Smith into a cowardly villain full of dramatic insults. Week after week, he'd throw out clever jabs, especially at the robot, calling it a bubble-headed booby or a clamoring clod. Those insults stuck with viewers, getting stuck in their minds, and they loved to hate his character. His fresh take on the role was such a hit that producer Alln gave him complete freedom over his lines, allowing Harris to shape Dr. Smith into a character nobody could forget. Mummy remembered how focused Harris was on getting each scene just right. "We'd start working on a scene together," he said, "and he'd have his line, I'd have my response, and he'd be like, 'No, no, dear boy. Before you say that, the robot will say this, 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 and this. Then you'll say your line.' He single-handedly created Doctor. Zachary Smith, we know. This guy we love to hate. A coward who would hide behind the little boy. Oh, the pain. Save me, William. That's all for him." Lost in Space was practically the Doctor. Smith's show by the third season. His character brought people back week after week, eager to see what kind of trouble he'd stir up, how he'd wiggle out of danger, or what zinger he'd come up with next. By 1968, after 83 episodes, the writers were struggling to find new ideas, and Lost in Space got canceled, leaving Harris with no chance to say goodbye. Years passed, but Harris stayed in the game, taking any roles he could, even if they weren't memorable like the ones he'd played. But through everything, he felt the shadow of Dr. Smith. Harris often got cast as the sly villain, the guy viewers weren't sure whether to trust or laugh at. And when he wasn't on screen, he taught others the craft he loved. Chuck Norris, his student and friend, once said Harris showed him how to speak with conviction. He'd stick his fingers in my mouth and tell me, "That's how you talk." He was the only guy I'd ever let do that. There was something almost dad-like in the way Harris dedicated himself to his students, sharing everything he'd learned over the years. Harris spent his final years as an actor, thankful but nostalgic. His name might not have been a headline grabber, but for those who knew him, he was more than just a character on a screen. He was that rare person who turned everything he touched into something memorable. His Dr. Smith may be gone, but for anyone who ever heard him say, "Oh, the pain," in that half-pout, half-cry tone, he'll always be remembered to be a man who could make us laugh and wince all at once. His last role came in a short film, The Bolt Who Screwed Christmas, which was recorded in 2001, just a year before he passed. It came out after he was gone, a final note in the long journey of his career. Over time, reunions became more common. In 1990, he joined the Lost in Space cast for the show's 25th anniversary, facing a crowd of over 30,000 fans who remembered him fondly. Later, he joined them at conventions and events, sharing stories from the past, just like old pals do when they've been through so much together. It was nostalgic, because those memories were special but too far away. When Lost in Space was turned into a movie in the late 90s, they asked Harris to make a cameo, but he turned it down. "I've never played a big part in my life, and I'm not gonna start now," he said with conviction. Even though others jumped in, he stuck to his choice, opting instead to do promotional work where he could step back into his role as Dr. Smith, a character he cherished a lot.
My suitcase. Oh, your suitcase. Thank you. Bye. Bon voyage.
Oh, Dr. Smith! Yes, Mr. Salto. Yes.
He passed away on November 3rd, 2002, just 3 days shy of his 88th birthday. His death created a gap, especially for those who learned to love the man behind the voice, the warmth beneath that often villainous character. Writer John Wardlaw, wanting to pay tribute to Harris, added a scene in The Bolt Who Screwed Christmas, bringing in former Lost in Space cast members Bill Mumy, Angela Cartwright, and Marta Kristen. They recorded their lines while listening to Harris's last performance, laughter blending with tears when they thought about their friend. Wardlaw remarked about the reunion, "It was the first time they were all together in something unrelated to Lost in Space, and it was a total blast." They listened to what Harris had recorded, sharing laughs and a few tears. His wife, who had been by his side through everything, followed him a few years later. She died in 2007 at 93. It felt like a fitting end, quietly, like the last lines of an old script that had been forgotten. Finally, Jonathan Harris speaks up about Lost in Space. He shared in an interview that a weird figure was waiting in a quiet office at 20th Century Fox, casting a big shadow. He was a man those around him knew, but hardly understood. without humor or lightness. Irwin Allen, they called him, and nobody could say he ever cracked a smile. One day, Jonathan Harris, an actor known for his skills and guts, was chatting on the phone with his agent. "Irwin Allen wants to see your film," the agent said. "What's the role?" Jonathan asked. "Don't know," the agent replied, "but he wants to see your work." Jonathan took a breath and thought for a second. "Tell him I'm not keen on showing any film. Not without knowing the part." The agent went quiet momentarily before muttering, "You sure you want me telling him that?" But the choice was already made. Jonathan only waited a few minutes before the phone rang again, his agent's voice sounding urgent. "Irwin wants to know who you think you are. He'll see you at 4 o'clock. And just like that, he was at 20th Century Fox, a place Jonathan knew well and felt like home. He walked to Allen's office, heart pounding in his chest, passing rows of quiet-faced executives who barely glanced his way. A woman behind a desk nodded and motioned him in with a finger. Inside, Irwin Allen was sitting at a massive table with his yes-men, all dressed in dark suits, all silent and stiff. Jonathan cleared his throat. "Good afternoon," he started. But before he could say more, Irwin lifted his finger, a famous, dreaded finger, and waved it at him. "Who do you think is refusing to show the film?" Allen demanded, his eyes piercing right through him. It took a deep breath to keep calm. "Mr. Allen," Jonathan replied, "why would you want to see the wrong film when you can see the real thing?" Irwin turned to the man next to him. "What did he say?" The man repeated, "Why see the wrong film when you could see the real thing?" Irwin narrowed his eyes. "So, you want to be in this series?" Jonathan held his gaze. "I haven't read a script." The finger rose again, signaling someone in the room. "Get him a script." In a rush, a script was shoved into Jonathan's hands. He looked down at the thin stack of papers, feeling their weight, while he tried to gauge the part by gut instinct. He glanced up, noticing the room pressing in on him. "Who else is in it?" he asked. Allen shifted in his chair, impatience flashing across his face. "The pilot's done. You weren't in it. Your character wasn't in it." Jonathan's mind raced. "May we talk about billing?" The room seemed to freeze. Allen's face darkened. "Everyone's billed. It's done. You'd have to be last." Jonathan took a calming breath, the words slipping out almost without thinking. "I wouldn't feel comfortable that way." Irwin's eyes narrowed. "What did he say?" Someone whispered, "He said he wouldn't feel comfortable." "Then make him comfortable," Allen growled, his hands tightening into fists on the table. "Go home," he snapped. "Read the script, then call me. Figure out this billing problem yourself. I'm busy." With that, Jonathan was dismissed, the room closing in on him when he left, feeling the cold gaze of Allen's yes-men on his back. At home, he sat down with the scripts, his heart racing, unsure of what he'd find, but when he read, the story pulled him in. A villain is a genuinely nasty character with sharp lines and twisted intent. Allen had said it with pride. "A terrible spy," he gleefully called it. "This guy is unbearable," he thought. Then came the creeping realization. He could never handle playing such a character, not in the way Allen wanted. It would break him or cast him aside in a matter of weeks. Desperate, he called his friend Jimmy, an old buddy in casting. "Jimmy," he said, his voice low, "have you ever given someone billing every week as special guest star?" "What? That's crazy," Jimmy replied, laughing. "Never been done." Jonathan hung up, a faint smile creeping onto his face. The next day, he picked up the phone and dialed Irwin Allen. Allen answered impatiently. "What is it? Make it quick." I've solved your billing problem, Jonathan said. Yeah? Alln replied, hardly listening. Get on with it. I'm busy. Last billing, special guest star, Jonathan Harris, every week. A heavy silence fell on the line. Then Alln's voice erupted with a torrent of curses. You! None of you can act. This is nonsense. Alln's voice finally quieting down. Fine. The line went dead, and Jonathan sat in his quiet home, softly laughing to himself, a laugh filled with victory and sadness that echoed in the empty room. In the end, while Jonathan is concerned about losing himself to such a character, he also sees a chance to bring humor to the villain, preparing to embrace the challenge ahead. How often do we find ourselves stepping out of our comfort zones to take on a daunting role that could lead to unexpected growth? Share your thoughts in the comment section, and remember to subscribe to the channel.
Oh. Oh, you're gonna be little dicks behind the table? Well, you fucking midgets.
But they're wonderful. There's a musical.
I guess you're really cool, huh? You fucking midget.
And they're nice. We had a couple of really nice shows together. The Antimatter Man in the 3rd season, and There Were Giants in the Earth in the 1st season. I loved working with Guy. We had a real happy relationship with each other. I didn't hang out with Guy. I didn't go to Guy's house. He has a daughter who's just a couple years younger than me, beautiful girl named Tony, and she came to the set a few times. He has a son who's like a year older than me. He came to the set, Steve. He came to the set a few times, but I didn't socialize with them outside of the set. But, you know, Guy was a huge influence on me ever becoming an actor, even if he never realized how much that was true. It was immensely true. And I felt bad that Guy didn't, you know, have much to do. And I don't mean to say he didn't have things to do, but he didn't have much to do. And, you know, he obviously had been Zorro. And now he was, you know, a straight man to Jonathan more than anything else. And I know that he was fine with that because he had more time to be by himself or, you know, listen to music or buy stocks and stuff. But I also know that, you know, he had envisioned himself as the star of this show. And when it was over, I never saw Guy again. Never saw him after we wrapped the 3rd season, you know. He went to Argentina and he was given a fabulous marina apartment by the Perón government, who treated him like a god because he was Zorro. And he grew his Zorro mustache back, and he made appearances in the Zorro outfit. And he lived his last 21 years in Buenos Aires like a retired god. But I never saw him again, and that always was sad to me. They did a Lost in Space Family Feud episode in 1983, and it was Guy, June, Marta, Angela, and Bobby May. Mark didn't do it. I think Mark was in Massachusetts at the time, and I was working on a movie called Hard to Hold with Rick Springfield, which is truly hard to watch. But I will say it was quite a party to make. And I was making this movie, and we were in San Francisco when this Family Feud thing was going to be filmed. And they called me and they said, you got to do this. You got to do this. And I have to be honest with you, there are a lot of things in my life I have said no to and continue to. And I would have said no to that anyway. But I was legitimately working, and I was on location. And they were like, well, we'll fly you. It's San Francisco. We'll fly you down for a few hours, and we'll fly you back. And I said, no, I don't want to do that. I don't like that type of TV. I don't want to do it. And Jonathan called me on the phone. And he said, Family Feud, Dickie Dawson, you won't be kissing me, dear boy. Are you doing it? No, I'm not. Good. Good. If they don't have us, they don't have nothing, baby. That's how he was. That's how he was. So I didn't do that. But it would have proven to have been my last opportunity to see Guy. June is such an interesting character. I spoke with her about a month ago. She is, without a doubt, one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life. She is truly a rock and roll goddess. I swear to God. I swear to God. She lives for rock and roll. In the 80s, she carried a picture of one person in her wallet, and it was David Bowie. In 1967, she hired the Allman Brothers Band, which was at the time called the Hourglass, to come play a party at her house. She took me and Angela Cartwright to the Whiskey A Go-Go in the summer of love to hang out with the Allman Brothers Band up at the Whiskey A Go-Go. She's a character, and she is a rock and roll gal. That's all I can say about it. She has embraced her physicality. She's in better shape than anyone else who survives from the show to this day. She's 88 years old. Last time, or one of the last times I saw her, she was putting her leg behind her head with clothes on, but just like showing her yoga flexibility. Okay. Seriously though. I mean, I can't put my leg behind my head, but she can or could. I loved Mark Goddard. Mark Goddard turned 30 the month we started, or a month after we started filming the show. My mother was like his mother. Mark is a very, very was a very wild, impulsive, crazy, funny, incredibly handsome, and incredibly talented guy. And my mother used to she'd call him her second son all the time. She would just say, oh, Mark, I love you, but you're a horse's ass. Mark, I love you, but you're a fool. Don't you dare put Billy into that position. He drove a little navy blue Fiat, like an Alpine Fiat. And I used to sit kind of on the door with the convertible top down. And Mark and I would go off to lunch together whenever my mother would let me go off lot, just me and Mark together. And we'd go to this restaurant, Duke's Restaurant. Mark was crazy. Mark bought a 50-pound bag of peanuts in the shell one day. And, Jonathan, I said earlier, Jonathan used to hand out Tootsie Roll Pops and stuff after lunch. Well, one day, Mark bought this bag of peanuts in the shells, and he climbed to the top of the rafters on stage 11. He climbed to the very top of those rafters, which is way the heck up there. And he just said, yeah, I got your Tootsie Rolls. Have your peanuts. And he started throwing peanuts down for, 20 minutes. The whole set was just completely littered with peanut shells. He was just bombing everybody with peanuts. And Mark and I locked Bobby in the robot. And Mark and I used to take those golf carts together. And I guess the statute of limitations has passed, because there's a couple of those golf carts that we dropped into the moat on the back lot. We did. He was crazy. Marta Kristen is one of the sweetest, genuinely nicest, sweetest, beautiful people I've ever met. We worked together on an Alfred Hitchcock, that Bang You're Dead. She was actually in that. As I said earlier, Marta was major to me, because turning me on to basically folk rock, where I had been a Pete Seeger, Kingston Trio, I'm in a very small bubble. And that even though I was only 10, 11 years old, that folk music snob headspace, I was in that crowd. I was in that, no, it's not legit. It's right. And she turned me on to the Byrds, which led me, of course, it's like the Byrds lead you to the Love and Spoonful, to the Mamas and the Papas, to the Buffalo Springfield, to things that I carry with me in what I do musically to this day. So that was, to me personally, not Will Robinson, but to me personally, that was a huge deal. And I liked to sing with Marta. We did, we did that one thing on the thing together, but we used to, when I would play, she would come and we would sing together. First time I saw Angela Cartwright, I was sitting in the foyer of Irwin Allen's office, and we were about to go in. We'd already been cast. We were about to go in and meet Irwin as an ensemble, or just the two of us. I can't remember really. She was reading The Black Beauty, the book by Anna Sewell. She was reading Black Beauty, and I was 10. She was 11 and a half. She's a year and 5 months older than me. And I fell in love with her. And I spent all of Lost in Space being in love with her. And there's a huge difference between an 11 and a half-year-old boy and a 13-year-old girl, or a 12-year-old boy and a 14, you know what I mean? She's a year and a half, she's slightly under a year and a half older than me. And she became this gorgeous woman while I was this kid. And I was in love with Angela. And we had a really good time together on that show, exploring the tunnels underneath 20th Century Fox that there's these labyrinth of tunnel systems under the whole lot that you can kind of get through. And I found them one day and took her down there, and we'd explore these things together. I got her in trouble a couple of times, for being where we shouldn't be, or starting a water fight and stuff. But we went to lunch almost every day. When Lost in Space ended, Angela stayed on the lot and stayed in school with Francis Clampt, who had been on the lot since Shirley Temple. Stayed there, was given permission to stay at the 20th Century Fox lot and finish like a couple years, 3 years of school there, 3 hours a day. I went immediately back to public school. And after a year and change of public school, Angela was still at the lot, going to school from 9 to 12 with Francis Clampt. And I said, can I come back to the lot? And they said, yeah, sure, no problem. So I opted to do that, which led to Angela and I becoming each other's first love. And, I had to wait till I had a driver's license to make my move. And it was a very brave thing for me to do, honestly, because I fully had expected her to go, what are you doing? What are you doing? Are you crazy? Are you nuts? Are you crazy? Right? And I had been thinking of that since the day I'd first seen her. And it worked out. It was a wonderful, first thing for a couple of years. It was great. And we are very, very, very close friends now. And her she's been married 37 years. She's got 2 beautiful kids. She's about to be a grandmother. She's a beautiful gal, and we collaborate creatively together on projects, and it all worked out fine. But it was very intense for a while. I would be called into Jonathan's trailer because I have memorized the script. Jonathan would say to me, let's go over the scene. I've changed all the lines. And he did. He single-handedly created the character of Dr. Smith. He knew from the very beginning that this snarling, nefarious spy, saboteur would be old quick that the audience would just want to see him killed off or whatever. So he's very quickly started turning the character into a comedic kind of the Dr. Smith that we all love to hate. And Irwin Allen called him into his offices early on into the first season and said, I know what you're doing. Do more. That's a true story. So Jonathan had carte blanche. In fact, he's the only actor I've ever worked with on any show who had carte blanche producer's approval to write all his dialogue. I would memorize my cues, but they wouldn't be there. You know, he would just, what was on the page, none of that, I'll make it better. Yes, indeed. He created all the alliterative insults to the robot, you bubble-headed booby. Anyway, so Jonathan would call me into his trailer and I would know my lines and he would say, and this is how it goes. And if my cue had been, what are we going to do? Now my cue would be, I can't fathom the depths of this madness. How dare we indeed? Or what are we going to do? I go, okay, all right. And we had a wonderful chemistry together. You know, obviously the chemistry between Jonathan and myself and Bobby May inside the robot too, to a degree, worked. And the thing about Jonathan and I think it's probably safe to say it has a lot to do with the reason that we ended up with the bulk of the work, is because we would go in there and do it in one take. 2 takes if they wanted safety. We never screwed up. I mean, it's true. It is true. We didn't mess up. We'd go in there, we knew our lines. You know, you learn certain things in show business. You know, acting is both a craft and it's an art. And you can be taught a craft, but I don't think you can be taught to be an artist. I think you're either just of that ilk or you're not. But you learn how to say, okay, I'm coming around this rock and I'm going to go here and I'm going to hit this mark and I'm going to look at that thing. And you just kind of learn to count those steps. It's 22 steps. So you're running along or you're doing what you're doing, but you're also aware of the fact that, you know, okay, 22 steps in your brain, that's where I stop, so that you're not going around looking for your little T square in the sand. Things like that are the craft that you can be taught. But I don't think you can be taught to do it believably in 1 or 2 takes all the time. And Jonathan and I were just really good at that. And so I think I think the show shifted that way because it was like, wow, you know, we're not going into overtime here. We're saving money and these guys are a pleasure to work with. Jonathan Harris was so much fun. He loved being Dr. Smith. Every day after lunch, he handed out treats to the entire cast and crew. It was usually Tootsie Roll Pops, and he would hand it out to everybody after lunch. And in those days, there were tours. People got on tours and went through 20th Century Fox, and Jonathan was like, come on in, hello, yes, welcome to Lost in Space. I'm Dr. Smith, how are you? He just held court, and he was bigger than life, and he truly was that. That's truly who he was. He was he reinvented himself. He was this little Jewish man from the Bronx who went to pharmaceutical school and then started going to Broadway plays and going, oh, yes, that's what I want to do. And then suddenly he starts talking like this, and he's just reinvented himself and became Jonathan Harris, who became Dr. Smith. And he made it easy. He made it easy. He was very easy to work with. We were picked up for the 4th season, which is very interesting. You know, like I said earlier, we worked like 9-10 months a year, and then you go away for like 8 weeks, And then you come back. Everybody has a little holiday and goes to Hawaii or does what they do and comes back. And when we wrapped out the third season, we were told, everybody was told, we'll see you in 11 weeks or whatever it was going to be. Now, that doesn't mean our literally the options on our contracts were picked up, but we were all told we'll see you for the fourth season and whatever it's going to be. And as fate had it, we didn't get that season because of money and budget and whatever the real reasons are. But there was no closure there. There was no wrap party. There was no, we finished this series. There was no goodbye. I cried. I literally cried when Lost in Space was canceled. I did. And it wasn't like, gee, I don't have a job anymore. It wasn't like, gee, I don't have that income coming in. That had nothing to do with it. Nothing. And I remember that day very sadly and well. It was about, not being with those people anymore, and not being Will Robinson anymore, because that was exactly what I wanted to do. It was exactly the character I had always hoped to play and was playing for, 3 years. I would have liked to have kept doing it.
How did you get the news that it had
Call
been
from my agent. Guess what? What? You're not going back. What do you mean? They said we were. Well, they're not. CBS wanted to cut the budget. This is what I was told. And I don't, what I was told was CBS wanted to cut the budget because the numbers weren't that great. And Irwin said, I'm not going to cut the budget. I can't cut the budget. And he's got like these other shows that were Land of the Giants and Time Tunnel was off the air by then. I think Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea was still on the air. Land of the Giants was on the air, and he had a couple of pilots. And he just said, well, if you're not going to give me the money I want, then let it go. That's what we were told. I mean, what really went on money-wise between them, I don't know. But we never had that wrap party. We never had, in show business, when you make a movie, you go into that movie and it's got a 10-week shoot or it's got a 20-week shoot, and maybe it's going to go over time because of budget or whatever. But you're going to work with these people for a finite amount of time. You're going to say goodbye and you're going to move on. You do a guest shot on a television show, you're working for 3 days, or you're working for 6 days, or you're working for 9 days. Bye. Nice to work with you guys. Hope I see you again. But you're doing a television series that keeps beyond that initial 13 weeks. You're used to doing this for years, and you're a young kid, and it was like right next to my house. It was great. And it was very sad when that wrapped up. I mean, that's show business, but it was sad. In 1964, I co-starred in a movie for 20th Century Fox with Jimmy Stewart called Dear Bridget, which was a wonderful experience. And he was the best of the best. And no one I ever worked with is a notch above Jimmy Stewart. He was exactly what you hope a great actor and a great man will be. Every scene was beautiful, and there was never a nanosecond of fabulousness or preciousness, whether he was sitting around with anybody on the crew or whether he was chatting with, the leader of France. He was just a real guy. He and I played baseball together for 10 weeks. We just tossed the ball back and forth and really developed that father-son energy. And he was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful man. And I'm grateful for that experience. It was a 20th Century Fox film. Irwin Allen, who created and produced Lost in Space, was on the 20th Century Fox lot, and the part was offered to me. I never auditioned for it. It was just offered to me. And we had almost exclusively shied away from a series for the reasons that, it was such a great opportunity to go from studio to studio and project to project and work with all these great talents in a variety of arenas. But when Lost in Space came along, it was exactly what had motivated me at the age of 4 to get inside the television. It was a superhero. It was like Superman and Zorro. He didn't have a cape, but Will Robinson was everything I had ever wanted to portray. Everything. He had a laser gun and he used it. How cool was that? How many kids on TV have a laser gun and get to use it? It's not that he just had one, he used it. He could fly the ship, he could program the robot. He called everybody out on their stuff. He saved the day for like 83 hours. He was the guy who figured it out and saved the day. Without sounding obnoxious, I would go be Will Robinson in an hour if I had the opportunity to. I loved every single second of Lost in Space. There was never, I mean, I just loved it. I mean, some of the episodes got really stupid, and I was aware of the fact that, wow, what's happening here? You know, I thought we were an adventure ensemble kind of sci-fi show. Now we're this like farce, comedy, campy, weird, like Three Stooges show. But even then, I believed those scenarios. If I was talking to a carrot, you know, an actor dressed as a carrot, I still maintained that Will Robinson belief that this is an alien being and I'm going to deal with what I have to deal with. You know, I never played it for humor. I always played Will as very much in a real world because I wanted to be a superhero and I wanted it to be like a comic book that I would read and like. I loved being Will Robinson. I love those people. They're family to me. You know, when you do a series, and certainly in those days, Lost in Space was, we started January 1st, 1965, and we ended in like, I think April or May of 1968. We shot like 9-10 months a year. You know, today a television season is 13 episodes. We did 30 a season, you know, and we had like 7 days to shoot an episode. We had 3 permanent sound stages. 20th Century Fox was such a great lot in those days. Planet of the Apes, Peyton Place, Batman, Green Hornet, Fantastic Voyage, Funny Girl, or I mean, it was just such a great. And I ride my bike to the studio. It was 5 minutes away. Oh, those were wonderful times for me. Wonderful, wonderful times. Even when I look at the shows and some of them are so stupid and unwatchable, I still can't help but connect to that love of being there. I loved being there. Anyway, Lost in Space was, you know, like I did an audition. It just came to me and it was a gift that I cherish.
I go to work. He comes to me after the first day's dailies, and he says, "What a face, what a face. Me, awful, wonderful face." I said, "I'm in trouble. I'm going to have to do what I knew I would have to do. I like comedic villainy. My biggest successes have been comedic villainy. How to do that? You know, he's no dummy, Irwin. I decided I would sneak in comedic bits and see what happens. And that's what I began to do. Just tiny little bits that didn't interfere with the villainy, but had a little comedic twist. I did that for a couple of weeks. Nobody said anything. The story editor was Tony Wilson, very, very fine man. Came in one day and he said, "You ain't fooling me." I said, "Tony, let's talk." I don't want to talk about it. A couple of days later, Irwin charged into my dressing room and said, "More," and walked out. So I went to him and I said, "Irwin, did you really mean more?" He said, "Anything you want." first time in my life, I don't claim to be a writer, but I do claim to be a wonderful rewriter. I began to rewrite every word of the script that affected me. And then, thank God, came the robot. Oh, Jesus. That's the best thing that ever happened to me.
Tell us
But
about
I developed the relationship and the alliteratives. All of that was mine. I wrote them all. I wrote everything you heard that I said to him or that he said to me. And I was allowed to do that first time in my career. And I
Come with me. Come with me on a voyage to the bottom of the sea.
You are there when the entire sky catches on fire, the burning Van Allen belt threatening to destroy the universe. You are there in a deadly rain of disintegrating icebergs. Not even the soaring imagination of a Jules Verne could have dreamed of such a fantastic adventure. In an atom-powered submarine that defies description.
You've seen the brain of the sub. In here is the heart, the atomic motor room. There is more destructive force in this room than in all the explosives used in World War II.
With a cast as exciting as the wonders they encountered. Walter Pidgeon.
We hope to see sights never before seen by man.
Joan Fontaine.
I say, the belt will burn itself out. At 173 degrees, it will burn itself out.
Barbara Eden. Peter Lorre.
Sounds like Suko. Nothing is impossible.
Robert Sterling.
If I'm going to meet your deadline of the Marianas, I need fighters, not fatalists.
Michael Ansara. And Frankie Avalon.
With due respect, sir, I think your judgment's been a little rocky lately.
Are you gold-bricking pipsqueak?
You are there when the United Nations is thrown into a turmoil.
The burning belt must be exploded clear of the Earth's magnetic field. And we have exactly 16 days and 3 hours in which to do it.
Explode the belt and you explode the world.
You are there when the frogmen battle a mammoth squid. You are there when Barbara Eden dances to Frankie Avalon's hot rhythms. You are there in outer space to see the Earth encircled in fire. You are there when the mini-sub threads a life and death course through the minefields. You are there when the giant of the sea attacks. You are there in the most startling underwater pursuit ever built.
(1964). A unique concept in entertainment was brought to the television screen.
Admiral, surrender.
It's a giant of a whale. He's within 900 yards and closing.
1965. Another excitingly different concept came to vivid light.
Dr. Smith, help me up here! Oh dear! There they are! The robot! No escape, we're doomed!
1966. Still another fantastic concept exploded into stunning reality.
We're locked in on it. Clear the complex!
We're on an expedition to Mars. We're stranded.
1967, the year of the giants. The newest concept in incredible entertainment. Intraspace suborbital passenger flight 703, Los Angeles to London in 40 minutes. The pilot, Tim Burton, 26 years old, 3-year veteran of futuristic transports. Dan Erickson, 25 years old, ex-decathlon star, Tim Burton's co-pilot since 1978. Betty Ann Hamilton, stewardess, 22, a slightly nervous newcomer to spaceflight. 4 passengers, Mark Wilson, 34 years old, ex-construction boss, ex-wildcatter, a self-made millionaire at 30, now on his way to a business conference in London. Joan Templeton, DSc, MD, PhD, geneticist, destination, an international scientific meeting at the Royal Academy of Medicine. Barry Lockridge, age 11, orphan, a 4-foot hero with quivering lip, on his way to shelter with English cousins he's never met. The final passenger, Peter Lingelhopper. Hopper, alias Lingle, alias the Hop, conman, embezzler, and currently bogus Navy commander, a man on the run. His tightly clutched prize, a stolen $1 million in small bills. "500 miles above Earth, 17 minutes out of London, Flight 703, in trouble. Seven people on the threshold of a strange and terrifying adventure. Into a space warp caused by cosmic photon mass. And out into another world. A world beyond any conceivable nightmare. Near dawn, Flight 703 finds safety, but one passenger is not content to wait. Unbelieving, he runs out into a world of horror in the land of the giants. Meanwhile, a search party, trapped in the open, seeks their only refuge. Trapped in the giant laboratory. The attack of the giant goldfish. The rescue party and the final escape. Refuge in a giant egg crate. A moment of sanctuary. Then, well, there can be no sanctuary in the land of the giants.
Well, that's it. The story of the first episode of Irwin Allen's new series for the American Broadcasting Company, Land of the Giants. And now, back to the nice, safe world of reality. But then, can one ever know where that nice, safe world begins and where it really ends? See what I mean?
Steve McQueen and Paul Newman race against time as one tiny spark becomes a night of blazing suspense. The Towering Inferno.
It's out of control. And it's coming your way.
Warner Brothers and 20th Century Fox present Irwin Allen's production of The Towering Inferno. Steve McQueen, Paul Newman, William Holden, Faye Dunaway, Fred Astaire, Susan Blakely, Richard Chamberlain, Jennifer Jones, O.J. Simpson, Robert Vaughn, and Robert Wagner. The Towering Inferno.
Those people are going to die up there if something's not done.
I want you out of here. Till you can stop worrying about me, what about me down there worrying about you?
I'll never let you go anywhere without me again.
I'll be back with the whole fire department.
The Towering Inferno.
Set me down on the scenic elevator.
Now, the producer of the Poseidon Adventure brings you more spectacle, more stars, more suspense than you've ever seen in one motion picture. Steve McQueen is the fire chief. Paul Newman is the architect. Step by step, floor by floor, this is a race against time to save hundreds of people trapped in a night of blazing suspense as the world's tallest building becomes the Towering Inferno. the towering inferno.
Get right on talking to Port Bound.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please. It is exactly 50 seconds to midnight. Hard left. Get up a mayday.
Oh my God.
That's the way out. That's our only chance. Don't listen to him. We've got to stay here till help arrives. Help from where? From the captain? He's dead. The boat tilted and he fell. The shaft blew up and he's dead. And that's it. Or do you want to make something more out of it? Johnny, keep your eyes on the ladder. Don't look at anything except the ladder.
I want you to give this to our little grandson, huh?
Why, I'm going somewhere you're not going?
Hold it. Do you know what a flash fire is? Well, mister, I'm not going to let you kill us. I'm going to that door, Mr. Rocco. You need to stand aside and close that door to keep the air from coming in, or you can try to stop me. I told you I was going to get everybody out of here, and damn it, I'm going to do it!
It was a nightmare brought to life with shocking realism. It was a perilous journey through hell turned upside down. It was also a harrowing experience for its real-life stars.
Hey, camera.
But even more challenging was producer Irwin Allen's struggle to bring this epic story to the big screen. It was a fight he almost lost.
The film very nearly became the film that never was.
A battle against the odds, on screen and off.
You raise your hand, those that are going to get killed, raise your hand.
On Backstory, the Poseidon Adventure.
Oh my God.
More than 3 decades after its release, the Poseidon Adventure still stands as the prototype for the big-budget disaster movie. But it was a film that almost didn't get made at all.
Margaret, call a production meeting. Full staff, please.
Yes, sir, right away.
In 1969, Irwin Allen was a hugely popular television producer and a showman in the old Hollywood tradition. He loved fantasy, spectacle, and all the special effects and gadgetry that could bring big-screen movie magic to television.
I would say the two words that you associate most with Irwin: give me more and make it bigger. More, more, more.
And he was like a kid. Look, he just loved it all.
But television wasn't big enough to hold Irwin Allen's cinematic vision. The prolific producer now sought to return to his first love, feature films. Scouring bookshelves for available properties, he soon found the movie project of his dreams, Paul Gallico's best-selling novel, The Poseidon Adventure, the terrifying tale of a luxury ocean liner that capsizes after being hit by a 90-foot tidal wave. The story was classic Irwin Allen. It started off with a spectacular disaster, and then followed the desperate struggle of 10 survivors as they climbed their way up to the bottom of the ship.
He used to call it the Walter Mitty syndrome. You take an ordinary person and put them in an extraordinary situation. And if they rise to the situation and overcome it, that's what every one of us would like to think that we could do.
Allen envisioned The Poseidon Adventure as a grand-scale Hollywood epic, with an all-star cast and sensational special effects.
Irwin always thought he could do anything. So, you know, that didn't surprise me too much.
But despite Irwin Allen's confidence in The Poseidon Adventure, his home studio, 20th Century Fox, was reluctant to finance the project. Audiences now seemed to prefer smaller and more intimate character-driven films. A star-studded spectacle like The Poseidon Adventure was considered a thing of the past, and the project was quickly known around Hollywood as Irwin's Folly.
Nothing like this had been done before. And everybody was telling Irwin, you can't do that. There's no way you can do it. And he said, I know I can do it.
After nearly 2 years of struggle, Irwin was given the green light for his project. Armed with a tight $5 million budget, he ordered that meticulous storyboards be made. Every single shot and every penny spent had to be carefully planned in advance. Irwin also bucked current casting trends, passing over the actors considered Hollywood's hottest new properties. Instead, he assembled a dream team of seasoned veterans. Among them were Academy Award winners Ernest Borgnine,
Who do you think you are, God himself?
Red Buttons,
Don't think of anything but the latter.
Jack Albertson,
We're going to come out of this. All of us.
and Shelley Winters.
A fat woman like me can't climb.
In fact, Irwin's only concession to the industry trend would be the casting of Gene Hackman in the pivotal role of the preacher who doubts his faith. Hackman's star-making turn in The French Connection had already made him an odds-on favorite to win that year's Best Actor Oscar, and Irwin was eager to welcome him aboard.
He surrounded himself with the best of people, and he went for talent. Even if they had been on the top and had slipped a little, his premise was get a familiar face.
To provide balance to Irwin's passion for action and spectacle, Fox President Gordon Stolberg ordered that director Ronald Neame be brought on board.
I did give a solemn warning to every member of the cast. I said, now look, before the film is over, you're all gonna hate my guts, but I can't help it.
A filmmaker known for his sensitive direction of intimate human dramas, Neame was still riding high on his recent success with the critically acclaimed film The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie.
I came over and I said I'd stay 6 weeks and see what could be done, and began to like Owen, and Owen began to put up with me. And so one thought, all right, the characters were somewhat on the cardboardy side. It's all action stuff, and I like directing actors in more subtle scenes. However, why not?
Another Oscar winner, Sterling Siliphant, was brought in to add depth and dimension to the story's human characters. He would also have to master the logistical challenges of making the story's fantastic premise believable and cinematically possible. With script, cast, and director in place, Irwin Allen was confident that The Poseidon Adventure would be an enormous hit, but what he didn't count on was that his biggest challenge yet would be the obstacle placed in front of him by his home studio. 20th Century Fox was drowning in red ink, following a recent string of musical disappointments. Newly installed studio chief Dennis Stanfill was looking to cut costs wherever possible. The Poseidon Adventure's $5 million budget was an easy target. With just 2 weeks to go before the commencement of principal photography, studio president Gordon Stolberg summoned an unsuspecting Irwin Allen to his office.
As Irwin told the story many times that I had heard, he said, before my fanny hit the cushion, Gordon said, by the way, I'm canceling your movie.
He said, we've got to make it. He said, no, we're not going to make the film. It's going to be scrapped. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Fox didn't want to do it. They didn't want to go for a $5 million budget, I understand.
And Irwin was in shock, I think, because they had already gone into building the sets and budgeting and everything. It was all done.
And Irwin went back to his office crying.
But Hollywood's master showman had accomplished the impossible before, and he refused to give up without a fight. Irwin convinced Stolberg and Stanfield to guarantee half of the $5 million he needed. In exchange, he promised to find the other $2.5 million himself and find it fast.
He goes across the street to Hillcrest Country Club, where Cheryl Corwin and Steve Broidy, two of his old pals, were playing gin rummy.
And said, hey, you guys, would you guarantee with me $2.5 million? And they said, yes, by all means, but don't interrupt our gin rummy game, if you please.
Miraculously, Irwin's nick-of-time effort to save his pet project paid off. But now, the producer faced yet another challenge. The Poseidon adventure was once again ship-shape and would launch on schedule. But would Irwin's folly make Irwin Allen a Hollywood legend, or would it leave him a laughingstock?
Let me get speed, gentlemen. Big camera.
When Backstory returns, Irwin Allen puts his reputation on the line and puts the Poseidon cast through the most grueling experience of their careers.
Sometimes I feel a little bit like the guy on the Caine Mutiny, like Queeg. I think I'm losing my marbles completely.
Shooting on the Poseidon adventure began in April of 1972. Irwin Allen had beat the odds and was full speed ahead on the greatest and most complex undertaking of his life. The film's initial pre-capsizing scenes were filmed in Long Beach, California, in the luxurious quarters of the Queen Mary.
The Queen Mary, of course, was a godsend to us because all that storm stuff is shot on the Queen Mary. And we were very careful to always have the camera on a crane separate from the ship, so that by doing this with the camera and this and this and this, we were able to put the Queen Mary to sea in a storm when she was a solid rock of Gibraltar in Long Beach. And with the aid of great big Ritter fans and fire hoses, we really did create a splendid storm sequence. Oh, and said Ronnie, you're rocking the ship too much, it'll be dreadful. And to a certain extent, he wanted to look over my shoulder. But I was in a very strong position. I had been brought in by the president of the company.
Deep in an underground labyrinth is a fantastic invention which cost billions of dollars, the time tunnel. But what does it cost a man to face the incredible dangers of the past or the unknown secrets of the future?
That is impossible. The ship is unthinkable.
This ship is dead, and so is everyone on board unless you give immediate orders to lower the lifeboats. Freeze them! Accelerate power!
Wherever he and Doug are now, at least they're together.
But where? We couldn't begin to guess. The time tunnel.
So Fortinet's unified SASE solution, consisting of our FortiSASE and FortiGate SD-WAN, provides a unified console, flexible enforcement, things like zero trust, and intelligent and AI powered. And here's the solution for unified SASE. So it doesn't matter where you're coming from, remote or thin edge, from a campus, or even an OT environment. Our two main products are FortiSASE, the SSE, as well as FortiGate, the SD-WAN, all running on the same OS, All these functionalities, whether it be web gateway, file as a service, digital monitoring, remote browser, zero trust, and SD-WAN, can be implemented either in the cloud or on-premise or in the data center. And this gives you great flexibility of where you want to do that enforcement, because again, most customers are going to be hybrid for a long time.
After Land of the Giants was canceled, producer Irwin Allen attempted another sci-fi series just as illogical and scatterbrained as his earlier efforts became. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Lost in Space, Time Tunnel, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, even a few episodes of Land of the Giants. It just seemed that Irwin Allen couldn't sustain the elements that made those shows work in the first place and leaned too hard on gimmicks all too often. The man from the 25th century would have starred James Darren from the Time Tunnel. Notice how many familiar props and set pieces from Allen's previous shows are recycled here. They didn't even bother to repaint the Jupiter 2 doorway. Still, even bad Irwin Allen has its charms. I would have watched it. Actually, the footage that you're watching here is Irwin Allen directing an episode of Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea.
Sigma dimension factor. Can it be integrated through Boyd's 6?
Yes. The factor is alpha 3 infinity over the Z spatial continuum.
In a hyperdrive starship, at what velocity do you enter the quasar transition stream?
Omega 9 times the speed of light is the null point.
Enough. Your Earth name, what is it?
Robert Prentice.
Tell us about your Earth identity, Robert.
I am 27 years old. I was born on the planet Earth in the year 1951. Raised in the mid-continent American community of Topeka, Kansas. I was taken from that world as a child and teleported here to be trained for a mission of...
Enough. Is the subject physically conditioned for anything he may meet on his return to Earth? Attack! Restrict. Negative protect. Aggress! The tutors are to be commended. What is his telekinesis report? Demonstrate. What is this? That requires required 150 milliseconds. That's a factor 3. You were given 20 years. What you have done in that time is not sufficient. Your lifespan, quota energy, is terminated.
Was that necessary? It was my failure, not his.
That is arrogance. Do you challenge the Supreme Command?
Only on this matter. It seemed needless destruction.
That is compassion. Your mind is still impaired with the corrosive traces of humanoid emotion.
I am prepared for my mission. There will be no failure.
That is pride, another earthling defect. But we have no more time. The moment has come for you to return to Earth. Your mind has been cleansed of all false loyalties, and you're aware that people of your world are still ruthless, cruel, and stupid children. We are 500 years ahead of you. Believe in us. We understand these things. And remember, your mission to destroy the Earth Project Delphi is vital. If any seek to hinder you, they must be destroyed. Destroy without hesitation. Destroy without conscience, and destroy without thought. Destroy. I read no suspicion in the Earthling's mind. Do you agree?
I agree.
For the first time in your conscious life, you will see other humanoids native to your world. No conditioning of ours can teach you to relate naturally to them. Therefore, it is essential that you avoid all but the most necessary contact with them.
Mr. Prentice, the voice you hear is coming to you from Project Delphi. For security reasons, the operation of your vehicle is now in our control. Let go of your wheel, Mr. Prentice. We'll take your car from here. Release the wheel, Mr. Prentice. Welcome to Project Delphi. Please come forward, Mr. Prentice. Your orientation group is ready and waiting. I would appreciate your giving this your personal attention and highest priority. Sincerely, General Atwood. Gentlemen, General Atwood. Welcome to Delphi, gentlemen. This is Delphi. At the moment, we are located at this position. Delphi, where you're about to become part of Earth's most vital first line of defense. To join our world's foremost scientists in perfecting the radial umbrella, the ultimate defensive weapon which will forever shield Earth from attack from outer space. If you please, gentlemen, follow me. To begin your preliminary orientation, we are now at Blue Level 3. From this point, the project descends more than 1 mile into the center of the Earth. This way, gentlemen. As you can see, each level is color-coded and increases in strategic importance. Gentlemen, at the core, the deepest level of the project, is the hyperatomic furnace. This is the vital heart whose power wields the radial umbrella. If its nuclear power cycle were to cease for even a moment, the entire complex could be destroyed. Naturally, the area around the core is restricted to classified personnel only.
Right there. I don't know how you got down here, mister, but you're in a lot of trouble unless you come up with some pretty good explanation.
Destroy. Now! Destroy!
Hold it right there. Welcome to Project Delphi. I'm Carl Baldwin. We've been expecting you.
A small death force must be sent to Earth. This human residue of our failure possesses too much knowledge. He cannot be allowed to survive. He must be destroyed.
Can't you understand what I'm trying to tell you? Any luck? I've been at it all night, and all I can get is that we're cruel and ruthless children. Only the aliens want to come and go in peace. There's got to be something that will emotionally jar him back.
We're getting a reading from Man Orbital Lab 3. Something's coming in.
Put it on the monitor. All 3 to Project Delphi. Flying object bearing straight in. No change in headings. No evasive action. It looks like this one isn't just another peaceful visitor. We picked them up. Alien space vehicle at 11,000 miles and approaching Earth atmosphere. Activate radial umbrella. Activate! Activate!
Alien vehicle disabled, but still operative at 6,000 yards due northeast of Project.
There's a small gas station settlement up there. Alert them. Did you see that? Did you see that? Did you see that? Now who are the cruel and ruthless children?
That couldn't have been intentional. Why would they destroy innocent people?
Radar's out of control.
They've homed in on your radar beams. They will reverse their ion polarity.
What will that do?
Create an ion imbalance as it did in the satellite. This entire complex will implode within seconds.
Cut the radar!
It's too late. I already have an interlock on it.
I can't shut it off. It's going on its own power.
It's all up to you now. Can you stop it?
We did it. We beat them. You think so? You really think so?
What's happening to us?
All personnel, stay at your stations.
There are many things you know not of, Earthling. What you have learned from us is but a minute particle of our infinite knowledge. You have betrayed us, Earthling. Now you will see the instrument of your destruction. Is it not a work of art, Earthling? Every feature, every detail perfect. But unlike your fragile flesh, it is indestructible, able to withstand the incredible pressures of teleportation through outer space. It has only one failure. Otherwise, we would have sent it instead of you. It cannot think, relate, or feel. It exists only to destroy.
Are you all right? What happened?
It's beyond your ability to comprehend.
Is it over? Is it really over?
No, it's not over. I'm afraid it's just the beginning.
It is a documented scientific fact that a gigantic swarm of killer bees is now moving toward the United States. Only the resources of modern technology may be able to stop it in time. Now, Irwin Allen brings you the ultimate suspense adventure. Starring Michael Caine, Catherine Ross, Richard Widmark, Richard Chamberlain, Olivia de Havilland, Ben Johnson, Lee Grant, Jose Ferrer, Patty Duke Aston, Slim Pickens, Bradford Dillman, Fred McMurray, and Henry Fonda in a spectacular adventure of human ingenuity and courage. The Swarm is coming. Can they stop it in time? The Swarm, rated PG. Starts Friday at theaters and drive-ins everywhere.
Irwin Allen, who brought you the Poseidon Adventure and the Towering Inferno, a double feature. First, fire, then blood.
You wouldn't let me open those gates when I still could, and now it's too late.
Two back-to-back disaster films on the big event. Sunday at 8, 7 Central on NBC.
(1964). A unique concept in entertainment was brought to the television screen.
Admiral, surrender.
It's a giant of a whale. He's within 900 yards and closing.
(1965). Another excitingly different concept came to vivid light.
Dr. Smith, help me up here. Oh, dear. There they are.
No escape. We're doomed.
1966. Still another fantastic concept exploded into stunning reality.
We're locked in on it. Clear the complex!
We're on an expedition to Mars.
We're stranded.
(1967), the year of the giants. The newest concept in incredible entertainment. Infraspace suborbital passenger flight 703, Los Angeles to London in 40 minutes. The pilot, Tim Burton, 26 years old, 3-year veteran of futuristic transports. Dan Erickson, 25 years old, ex-decathlon star, Tim Burton's co-pilot since 1978. Betty Ann Hamilton, stewardess, 22, a slightly nervous newcomer to spaceflight. 4 passengers, Mark Wilson, 34 years old, ex-construction boss, ex-wildcatter, a self-made millionaire at 30, now on his way to a business conference in London. Joan Templeton, DSc, MD, PhD, geneticist, destination, an international scientific meeting at the Royal Academy of Medicine. Barry Lockridge, age 11, orphan, a 4-foot hero with quivering lip, on his way to shelter with English cousins he's never met. The final passenger, Peter Lingelhopper, Hopper, alias Lingle, alias the Hop, conman, embezzler, and currently bogus Navy commander, a man on the run. His tightly clutched prize, a stolen $1 million in small bills. "500 miles above Earth, 17 minutes out of London, Flight 703, in trouble. Seven people on the threshold of a strange and terrifying adventure. into a space warp caused by cosmic photon mass, and out into another world. A world beyond any conceivable nightmare. Near dawn, Flight 703 finds safety, but one passenger is not content to wait. Unbelieving, he runs out into a world of horror in the land of the giants. Meanwhile, a search party, trapped in the open, seeks their only refuge. Trapped in the giant laboratory. The attack of the giant goldfish. The rescue party and the final escape. Refuge in a giant egg crate. A moment of sanctuary. Then, but there can be no sanctuary in the land of the giants.
Well, that's it. The story of the first episode of Irwin Allen's new series for the American Broadcasting Company, Land of the Giants. And now, back to the nice, safe world of reality. But then, can one ever know where that nice, safe world begins and where it really ends? See what I mean?
Flood, from Irwin Allen, who gave you the Poseidon Adventure and the Towering Inferno. Flood, one of the most spectacular and suspenseful dramas ever presented, starring Robert Culp, Martin Miller, and Carol Lindley. Wednesday at 8, 7 Central and Mountain Time. Then, On the Quest, a dramatic showdown, all on NBC.
GNP Crescendo Records' 20-year pioneering involvement in space and science fiction has made the label a leader in the field.
From the man who brought you Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, Lost in Space, The Time Tunnel, and land of the giants. Now comes the fantasy worlds of Irwin Allen, featuring clips from your favorite TV shows.
The label recently released the single most ambitious box set in sci-fi history, the 6-CD Fantasy Worlds of Irwin Allen.
Monday, it's a magical musical wonderland with one of the greatest casts ever assembled. Sammy Davis Jr., Jack Wharton, Sally Struthers, Donna Mills, Ann Gillian, Steve Lawrence, Edie Gourmet, Jonathan Winters, Telly Savalas, and many more in Irwin Allen's all-new musical Alice in Wonderland, Monday.
This is fantastic.
Matthews to Triton Tower. Requesting landing clearance, over.
Triton to Matthews. Clearance granted. Triton clear.
General, there's a red alert starting to build at emergency control.
Matthews acknowledged, out.
Triton control.
This is Matthews. I'm on my way.
Oh, good, General. That red alert is getting out of control. Yes.
Is that Matthews?
Yes, he'll be right here.
General. Well, Temple?
I'm worried about that red alert.
What's the reason for it?
Emergency condition at the case out of Project Mole. Subsurface lava pressure is breaking through.
All right, you're the consulting engineer. What's your recommendation?
Abandon the project.
No. Washington wants Mole completed on schedule at all costs. Who's out there?
Bill Tyler, sir.
Put him on.
red-headed pencil pusher shown up yet?
I'm right here, Tyler.
Matthews, my men out here are going to be killed by those cockeyed orders of yours.
Then you haven't followed them properly. The project will be completed at once. That's top priority. If you've got seepage, control it.
You can't control white-hot lava when it's busting through from the center of the earth. Watch that number 3 pipe! Matthews!
Close down all valves and bottle up that pressure. Or aren't you capable of following simple instructions?
You know damn well I am. It's one thing to sit at a desk and give impossible commands. It's another to be on the bottom of the ocean trying to carry them out.
Save it. I'm coming out there. Well, if Tyler's right, Project Mo will be destroyed.
There's no way to stop it.
I won't accept that. Miss Holmes, I want an emergency staff meeting set up in the Situation Room tonight. All key personnel will be present. I'll check with you when I get back from the caisson.
Yes, sir.
General Matthews.
This is Matthews. Who's that?
Dr. Aguila.
Where are you, Doctor?
Just outside your mini-cell.
Doctor?
We're in trouble.
What kind of trouble?
Someone is deliberately attempting to sabotage Project Mole. You'd better get Tyler and his men out of there.
Sabotage? Are you sure?
As an amphibian, my physical attributes might differ from yours, but my mental processes are just as clear and logical. I suggest you order their immediate evacuation if it's not already too late.
What happened?
General,
Aguila, what happened?
The sabotage I mentioned.
the explosion was a deliberate attempt to kill you, sir.
How do you know?
As security chief, it's my business to know.
What else do you know?
Project Mo will be destroyed next.
Yes, Joe.
No further questions. It's all quite clear to you.
Yes, I understand, sir.
We'll blow it up. At exactly 8 o'clock.
Where's Temple?
We should be here any minute, sir.
General, the men on the caisson.
Tyler, will you ever understand it's not just the caisson? Someone's trying to destroy Project Mole. Now, if they succeed and the project is destroyed, Pacifica itself and 40,000 lives could go with it. You save the caisson and its crew.
Your concern is a little late, sir. Evacuation has already begun.
Dr. Aguila,
General,
look for any underwater explosives that might have been planted to blow up the tower.
consider it done, sir.
Miss Holmes,
Sir,
coordinate all operations directly under my command.
what about security control?
Choo-choo.
24-hour alert is already in effect, General.
Good. Irish. The people who work and live here, who built this city, are the prime concern. Pacifica will go on full emergency status.
You'll have it, sir. But I'd like to get these two hands on whoever's behind all this.
Right now, we have to save Project Mole, and we don't know how much time we have left to do it.
Countdown begins at 15 seconds. Stand by. Mark. 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
From the world of tomorrow comes a thrilling new television series, Lost in Space. Here are the amazing adventures of a group of space pioneers marooned on an uncharted planet. Adventure as challenging as tomorrow, as far out as the stars. Spectacle beyond imagination as the astronauts struggle for survival in a strange new world where incredible dangers seem to wait at every turn. Intriguing, thrilling, challenging. These are the adventures you will share. Lost in Space.
Live from Hollywood, the earthquake capital of the world, it's the Irwin Allen Show with guests Ernest Borgnine, O.J. Simpson, Shelley Winters, Charlton Heston, Red Buttons, and also on tonight's show, Paul Newman, Robert Wagner, George Kennedy, Lauren Green, and Callie Savalas. And now, here's your host, Irwin Allen.
Well, welcome to the show. We've got a terrific one for you tonight. I want to bring out our first guest, lovely starlet and a good friend of mine. Would you welcome Shelley Winters? Shelley, you look terrific.
Oh, well, thank you. I feel good. I really do. It must be my new diet.
A new diet. Well, let's talk about that a little later. First, let's talk about that new play you're doing in New York City. Bob Wagner, ladies and gentlemen. Bob's got to leave a little early. He's busy rehearsing on a new film he's doing, being directed by Orson Welles. Shelley, what's the name of that picture?
It's called Who's Eating the Great Chefs of Europe.
Now, you're in that film, aren't you, dear?
Yes, I am. But right now we're negotiating meal allowance.
I see. How did he get out of that? Well, let's bring him out.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Red Buttons.
Strange things are happening back there. That's the closest I ever came to getting a roast in this business. And Johnny Carson never put up with that kind of stuff. And Jack Tarr never got... Look!
Look at the size of those things. Charlton Heston's here. Ladies and gentlemen, Charlton Heston, come on and sit down. I didn't know you were around. Charlton Heston.
Was that Red Buttons I saw out there?
Yes, it was Red Buttons. He deserved that, boy. That's what you get for wearing too much makeup. Nothing bees like more than a good number 9 pancake, if you know what I mean. Hey, Charlton, tell us about this book you've brought on. You're going to do a reading for us or something?
Yes, it's from my latest book, which is a journal I was keeping while filming El Cid in Spain. It was a remarkable film, actually. Erwin, you did it this time. This time you really did it. Damn you! Damn you! Damn you!
See you next week. Good night, everybody.
Guests of the Irwin Allen Show stay at the fashionable and Sheraton Hotel in downtown Los Angeles, now with the first 5 floors fully operational. And when in LA, our guests travel in style courtesy of Poseidon Limousine Service. Portions of this show will be seen later tonight on the SCTV News.
Began pouring